I guess we can resume um, our discussion. We are coming to an end, basically, and there's still going to be some more discussion in a bit, but let's try to wrap up the event in case some people are going to be traveling. So it's been a nice 2 weeks journey. A bit tiring, I have to admit. Not the man I used to be, as the song goes. But we had a great, in my opinion, I had a lot of very positive feedback as to the format. There were lots of discussions, and I think this is basically the goal of this kind of workshops. We've had many here. I'm a big fan of this institute, as Alvaro knows. I made it public many times. So this is the group of the first week. So we can, and I encouraged people to take pictures, right? Many pictures, because then we can compare it. Remember, this is 2025, right? And then we also had an indoors picture with all the participants. And then, it's a nice, 20 years after, right? Photograph that we can compare with this one. So now we can play Where is Valdo, right? And try to find some of, actually last week, there were a couple people that were here last week and that are also in this photograph. And you can try to find the director, for instance. You can, so in the front row here, so there are, all these people. There's some guy here in hat. This guy is sitting back there. Maybe you can turn off the front light a little bit. Yeah. So Alvaro is there. There are many people that are not here. Vivian, Adilson was here last week. Fabricio, me. I still had some hair, but things are not, going so well up there. This is Daniel. This is Lawrence. Molenkamp was also there. Henrique Anda. Amir Caldeira there for some of the Brazilians. And a bunch of other people there that you may recognize. Guzev, Andrade Silva, Ivan da Cunha Lima for the old timers, right? And Valdemar Macedo is also here. And I remember showing this picture to Georg, and he actually he recognized Valdemar. He met, I think at ICM at some point many years ago. So he said he knew the guy. So yeah, it's nice to, have this fun memories. And this actually was the event that we organized there in 2005. And it was inspired, this poster was inspired by the cover of Science. So at that time, I think this artist here worked with the institute, with the center in Brasilia, to produce this kind of. So this is an artistic impression of the spin Hall effect. That was a big thing 20 years ago. This was, the experiment was done in David Oshlom's lab. So it was quite an exciting time. There were, and of course Lawrence Molenkamp, who is one of the invited speakers here. Also Daniel, is the director, also gave talks, and Michael Fateh was also here. So Molenkamp was also a major player in that at that time in terms of the spinach. One of his big splashes in literature was the realization of spin injection. There was also back-to-back paper from David Oshlom's group involving injection from a ferromagnetic semiconductor using holes. So this is one of the pictures. This is Michael. I wanted to show this because some of the people that work with him now said that. So at some point he had not so gray hair, but his forehead was already getting big. It's not losing hair. It's another condition. It's the condition that the forehead starts increasing with age. Unexplainable for some people, right? Anyway, so this is one of those. I think this was in one of these churrascarias in Brasilia, maybe something porcão or something like that. I don't remember and this Molenkamp and a former postdoc of Michael. Maybe you know him, Tang. I think it's his last name. So this is, this we have to compare now. Later on we're going to show a picture of. So this also was in the churrascaria. So now this is the picture just taken today, right? 20 years after. So we're getting there. And this is, okay, I'm not going to make comments because you're being recorded, but this is Ana Cláudia, as I remember. I think Silvio mentioned, I had forgotten her name, but Silvio Casado told me, it was Ana Cláudia. She has, some secretaries or interns that were students at the University of Brasilia and helped. And this is Michael receiving something there, This is our first conference dinner last week. This was at Manga. You can see, Christina, who was also here in 2017 when we organized some conference with Yaroslav and others. And at that time, she was a postdoc. Dennis was still a student. And this illustrates, Dennis already pointed this out, that this kind of workshop fostered this kind of future collaboration. So they're now collaborating. They were here. She was here. They were working. They had offices upstairs, and then it's great to see that this the new generation taking over. We're passing the baton, and it's great. So this is part of the other two tables there. This is Fabricio, who was also my second PhD student. This graduated 21 years ago, 2004. He was also a postdoc at the center in Brasilia at that time. So he spent some time there. He's now a prophet, Federal University of Uberlândia. And there's also Mariana Malard, who's also she is a prophet at the University of Brasilia. She attended last time. Yara was also in that picture that I showed you before. So it was a great group, and we reminisced a lot about the past. So this was the second conference dinner for this was at Tábua da Carne, the other one was at Mangai. So we had fun there. And this is, the picture we took yesterday. Some people are missing here because they laughed at before we took the picture. So this is the second group. And there are a couple of things that I learned in this, but nothing matches this. I had never seen anyone eating a mango with a spoon, right? So this is Michael. We along the way in Pium, I stopped at this marketplace, and I got a couple of mangoes, and also we tried sugarcane juice again. I always do this kind of thing, but sort of a ritual to show people, the great fruits we have in this region, and now the local, specialties. So people enjoyed it. We did it again the other day, and then we ate piña. We saw caja, and I warned them, look, when you go to a bar, if you ask for a caipirinha, you should ask whether the caja is frozen, because you should have it with the fresh caja. It's much better. So, I think this is really great. So this is a picture of Christina showing him how you should properly, you really have to get messy, right? Otherwise, you're not really enjoying the, and then, Evan was much faster. So he was really, so this is, by the way, in Alcaçuz. So last Saturday, we drove there. Rair and I had a car, so we got a couple of people and went there. We went to the Cajueiro, and then later we just drove to Alcaçuz, and we spent like the afternoon there. And then there was a heavy rain on this lagoon. And it was interesting to see how Canadians are very well prepared for any occasion. So this is Bill protecting himself from the rain. Well, it was a lot of fun, though. Yes, and this was yesterday. I had to show them one of my favorite, charming spots here in Natal. It's. Does anyone know this place? From this, let's see, Rafael, who is local, basically. I don't expect Álvaro to go. It's just a bar with live music. It's a hint is on Rua do Salsa, towards the end. It has curva in the name. Ah, I see. Curva do Vento. They have very nice pizza. Not the standard ones. They look more like Flammkuchen, very thin, crusty, wonderful. I really love it there. So, and there's a picture I had taken. These are my former students. Fabrício is there. I'm going to show you a picture now. That's Dennis and this Poliana. She was also here last week. They gave out talks. And this is supposed to be compared with this one. That was like 1999 in Ouro Preto, some Brazilian workshop on semiconductor physics. This is Fabrício. And then that's me. So you can, yeah, so this Fabrício looks the same, maybe with a little less. Well, he had a hat there, right? Which is an indication that things are not going well up there, right? So they're all great people. And this was, so now this brings me to a very important part, I think, of this, little chat that we're having here, which is I would like to, say thank you to the support people, Tiziane, Camila, Valdelino, Juliano, and Clárcio. And, I know there are more people involved, right? They really had to, especially Camila, right? She had to deal with this is her very first conference. And then they had one of the directors, a guy like me, Yes, exactly. So then you were assigned to a very retentive person like me, in the Freudian, sense. But I think everything was worked out perfectly fine. We, correct courses along the way. Everything was, I think, really great. And I think it was probably a very good experience for you. If you survived me, you probably survived other people, much more easily, as I usually tell my students. So thank you so much for helping with all of that. It was this was really crucial, right? And as I mentioned many times, I really admire. I would say it's Álvaro's and Silvio's life work. This building and the whole enterprise. I actually, as a student, maybe some of you don't know, but I actually spent some time in Brasilia many years ago. Before I started, I started my master's degree there, and I remember some discussions that we would hear. As a student, you hear these things on the hallways. So when there was a discussion about the creation of the center and all this, secrecy involved, so that this thing would not go to São Paulo, Paulistas, you don't want that. But anyway, so I was there, and I really saw this thing then turn into the center in Brasilia, and then I eventually organized a conference there. In 2001, actually, the first year I was in Switzerland, I came back to give a talk. I think Sergio was there. There was also a conference on magnetic nanostructure, and then in 2005 we organized that. Other one, and many others, like there was the 2D conference in 2019, just before the pandemics. And then there was also this collective electrical insulator conference, spin insulators conference in 2017. And I was also spending my sabbatical year, long sabbatical, about 6 months at the Institute. And I think it's a great place to be. And I think people like Rafael, Rodrigo, Tommaso when he was here, and all the younger generation, it's great to have, you're very privileged. And I mentioned this before to Rafael many times, that to have such an infrastructure and people like Álvaro and Silvio and all the others that make this thing happen. It's really, I think, very challenging, especially in the challenging times that we are living right now. So so thank you, Álvaro, and all of you. Now, Esmeralda actually sent me. Esmeralda is the guy back there. So he's not in this field, but he came, right? And, yeah. So he produced this, and I'm amazed that when I have, it's like 20-something pages. Then, then I'm going to read this. Is maybe I can. Yeah, okay, yeah. There's 20-something pages. So there's a primer on magnons. Yeah, you can see here, right? So he did this why or here, right? So I don't know what it is. Cannot say what it's it's good or not. But I think it's impressive, right? So anyway, I'm going to have a look at it, Esmeralda. I appreciate you in preparing this and sending it to me. I think it's great. I'm sure it's going to be useful. And I think I want to close with that. The main point of this meeting is really to get people to discuss and interact. And this is just a pic that I took, when we were discussing yesterday, Bill, myself, and Ivan, his student. And I'm sure this happened in many other offices, and I saw it happening, in the coffee room during the coffee break. We had a schedule here that allowed us to have many discussions, among experts. It was really very good also for the students to see how, good science should be done, which is just like probing, discussing. And more importantly, I found this community, which is a community that I'm not really part of. I'm, trying to stick my foot in. It's something that I think very impressive, because I come from a community that is very competitive. So, especially, I have many different communities, but one particular one that I had, for instance, has to do with my renofermions, for instance. People don't go to conferences to just show new data and unpublished results, and it's always like secret, some secretive behavior. So it's not fun, in my opinion. And here, I was very pleased to see that people are willing to discuss unpublished results, unpublished data, discuss ideas, and I think that's in the spirit of the science enterprise. So with that, I just would like to say thank you to all of you for having come, and I hope you can come again and again. And thank you especially to Álvaro for creating this opportunity.
I just want to thank everybody who came, who participated, made this meeting very lively, very interesting. And I should also, and I must also thank the organizers. Carlos, who was always behind making this proposal, made it happen. There was an earlier proposal, I think at 2019. It was supposed to be organized in 2020.
Yes.
They managed to propose again the same meeting 5 years later, and they succeeded in choosing the same date. So it's really a coincidence, the same date.
Retentiveness.
So thank you very much. Carlos, you are the one that we should congratulate, and to put everybody together, to work together. And so I thank you very much, and all of you for coming and to making this happening again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Álvaro. Okay, I think that's it. We can, move on with our lives, but we can also stay here and we have lunch and we can discuss. There are a couple of things that people still want to discuss. So thank you so much for your contribution and your discussion and for being here. Thank you.